Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gospel Guys. My name is Matt.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we have a special Father's Day edition Gospel Guys.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. If you're a father, and if you're not, tell your dad happy Father's Day.
Yeah, there you go. Because everybody has a father.
Yeah, everybody has a father. They don't know them. Not everyone knows them.
No one knows them, but everybody has a father.
Yeah.
So what makes this episode special is we have two guests today. And we have, first, my son Solomon.
Hello.
And then my son Isaac.
Sup.
And we have...
Sorry for the improper introduction. That's my son.
And so this is... we're going to be on episode 67 titled...
Woe to the ones without the one within.
From the passage.
Luke 11:42 through 54.
And we will be, like Isaac said here in Luke, we're just picking up where we left off last episode, where Jesus was dining with some Pharisees, dining with a Pharisee, and he didn't wash his hands, and there's just a big story ensued. So now we're going to pick it up into what's kind of...
Yeah, can we just acknowledge the title of this episode, please? I just heard it, and woe to the ones
without the one within.
Woe to the ones without the ones within. Now, that's not all W's. It's not the ones. It's the ones.
Woe to the ones without the one within.
Yeah, without the one. Okay, one. Yeah, it should only be one in here. Okay, you see, this is the problem. He comes up with the titles, and I just have to hear him the moment he reads them. So that's a good title, though.
Thank you.
That's pretty impressive.
So what we're going to do today is this passage includes 6 woes that Jesus places on the Pharisees, and these are kind of like just these expressions of grief. And we're going to read each woe, go over it, and then read the next, kind of like just go through the 6 woes. So I will start reading from the CSB, and the first woe in verse 42. But woe to you Pharisees! You give 1/10 of mint, rue, and every kind of herb, and you bypass justice and love for God. These things you should have done without neglecting the others.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you boys see what you got to say, and then we'll just fill in the blank if there's any blanks to fill in.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot.
No problem. This is what we do. So what do you have? Let's just start there. Solomon, what do you have in this passage of Scripture that jumped off the page to you?
Well, I just thought that, whenever they tithe the 10%, it's kind of like how they do, like how Melchizedek did. How Abraham gave it to Melchizedek, so they're still kind of following that.
Following the pre-law.
The pre-law tithe.
Pre-law. So what about you, Isaac? What did you get out of that verse?
Well, what jumped off the page the most to me is how it said Passover judgment and the love of God. As in, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, and the word Passover actually means neglect or omit. So
yours says Passover.
Passover,
yeah. Like lowercase p, Passover.
Lowercase p. Yeah. To pass over. And so Passover judgment and love. So love of men towards God. That's what love means there.
And the tithe was, of course, a law at the time for the Jews. Now, the New Testament never calls for a mandated tithe, like a 10th tithe, like the Old Testament does. We're just called to give generously.
Yeah, I still give a minimum of 1/10. That's kind of my minimum tithe. That's how I view it. It's, of course, listen, everybody has to have their own thing. This is not an episode to talk about whether you should or shouldn't tithe, so don't take it there. But I give a minimum of 1/10, but I usually give more than 1/10, honestly, just for offering's sake. So
I think I think the Bible does call us to give.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't give us a number.
Yeah,
no.
So that's kind of.
I don't think, at least. But.
I that's one of those things that's what I said. It's just too many people think differently. So I don't have the clear answer other than it was pre-law. But there's a lot of things you could say. Well, that was pre-law too. Do you do that still? So I just say my standard of thinking is, give at least 1/10 and then go from there. But I think there are people that can afford more. There are people who may not be able to, but God knows the heart. That's the whole matter. God knows your heart. So if He has your heart, your wallet already belongs to Him anyway. So He'll tell you what to give.
I also thought that it was kind of almost like funny that they invited Jesus into his house, and he just like started off by telling them all the things that they're bad at.
It's like having me over. It's just, thanks for having me over. Let me tell you some things that I didn't like about the meal. I'm just kidding.
That was like his thing, though, is he just came and he told people, like, hey, you're doing this. Like, look what they were doing. They were focusing on the amount of giving, not the heart in giving.
Yeah.
And he's saying, hey, it's not about the amount. It's about how you should be doing it.
Yeah, Jesus's life was heart, not action. Action follows heart. It's not heart follows action. That's why the Bible says there are none righteous, no, not one, in Romans 3:10. But then it says in Romans 3:23, all have sinned. Action follows nature, not the other way around. We don't sin and become unrighteous. We're unrighteous, therefore we sin. So, what about you, Isaac?
I don't know. What you said just reminded me of the story of the woman and the Pharisees, how she gave what she had, and the Pharisees mocked her.
Yeah.
She only, 2 mites, and
Yeah.
she gave it all, right? And
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, all the Pharisees with their big checkbooks out saying, look at how much I'm giving. They wanted to make sure everyone saw it, but she did it privately, secretly, probably because she felt ashamed of what little she could give. And Jesus says that is what it's all about. You give it all. So
I think she only gave about maybe 2/5 of a cent.
I mean,
it's not much at all.
yeah, it's not very
But
much.
that's all she had.
Yeah.
And we just talked about either last episode or a couple ago about a guy who had a lot of money and he built a synagogue for so it's good. You need to have both of these type of people in the church.
And both of them can be saved. Yeah. So
All right, want to move on to the next woe? You have more in 42? Anybody have anything else? All right, 43. Woe to you, Pharisees! You love the front seat of the synagogues and greetings in the marketplaces.
go ahead, Isaac. You're up.
What I noticed is that they love the praise of men. Yes.
Yeah, the uppermost seat. Yeah. I think what did yours say? The front seat.
Love the front seat in the synagogues.
Yeah, the uppermost seat means sitting in the first seat at the chief seat of the table.
It's like the opposite in church now.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit in the front seat. I feel like.
Oh my goodness, yeah. They would call at my church we call them back row Baptists because I'm a Baptist, so back row Baptists. So that honestly, Chelsea. This is kind of a side story, but Chelsea and I, even me being a pastor or evangelist, I can't go sit in the back seat of a church. If I do, I'm too distracted. I'm ADHD as they come out. So it's like I'm paying attention to everything going on in the church and not to what's being said from behind the pulpit. So I have to sit in the first 3 or 4 rows for me to be able to keep my attention where it needs to be. So,
Yeah. And the point of this woe is that they, I think Isaac hit on the head, they wanted to be seen.
Yeah.
They wanted people to know him in church. They wanted people to know him in the marketplace. They wanted people to say, "Oh, I know that guy. He's a really good law following type guy."
Yeah. He said, "You seek approval and applause of man." Here's what he was saying: "You're prideful." That's what he was saying. It's like, what a smack to the face.
Yeah,
you're prideful
for sure. Yeah,
it's like, ugh.
It's almost kind of like the parable of the rich man Lazarus.
Absolutely.
How the rich man had good things on earth, but in the end, he had to spend eternity in hell.
Because it's not about what you have; it's about who you have.
Yeah, that's Jonathan's favorite parable.
Yeah, shut up. I haven't talked about that for a hot minute since you called me out on it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. That no longer belongs in the Bible, I guess. So, I was thinking about the man who built another barn, who built bigger barns. And he said, "You fool, today I'm going to require your life, and what are those barns going to be good for?" So what's your focus? Your sin focus shouldn't be action-based. It should be heart-based. But neither should your righteousness focus. It shouldn't be focused on action. It should be focused on heart.
Amen. All right. Let's do the next one. And I'll read 44 and 45. Woe to you. You are like unmarked graves. The people who walk over them don't know it. One of the experts in the law answered him, Teacher. Well, actually, let's just do 44. I'll reread it again. Woe to you. You are like unmarked graves. The people who walk over them don't know it. We'll stop there.
So King James says scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. So
Instead of people?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. And so scribes and Pharisees are both described in one word. It's basically scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. He's saying scribes and Pharisees, you're hypocrites. That's what he's kind of saying. He's kind of notarizing them in one word. You're dissemblers, you're pretenders, you're hypocrites.
Can you read 44 from the King James?
Yeah. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees. And then it says hypocrites. So it's saying scribes and Pharisees, and then it calls the scribes and Pharisees
Gotcha. Okay, I see.
hypocrites. For ye are as graves which appear not, and the men walk over them are not aware of them.
Got it.
And so basically, what's he saying there, Isaac?
What I got is that they're dead on the inside, but everyone else only sees the outside.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like graveyards are beautiful, but they're just filled with dead bodies. But they are beautiful looking, you know.
Yeah, you hit it perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
They looked a certain way. They looked holy, but they were empty inside. And touching a grave, that would have made you unclean. And that's what's happening. Is Pharisees were making, they essentially were making those that came in contact with them and what they taught unclean because they were teaching things improperly.
Yeah. They were focused on the outward appearance, and earlier on in the passage, in the previous podcast, we talked about you're worried about drinking on the outside of the cup. You're worried about the outside of the cup clean and not the inside of the cup. You're worried about that. So that's what they were worried about. They were worried about looking saved, not being saved. So, Solomon, you have something to say. I can see it in your eyes.
I mean, it was just kind of like how Dad said, how the unmarked graves were harder to see than actual marked ones. If someone would come in contact with them, they became unclean. So the Pharisees were almost like traps to these people.
Yeah, stay away from toxic people.
That's good. That's good. Traps.
You got anything to add to that verse, Isaac?
All right. Let's keep trucking along here. Episode. Episode 45. No, verse 45.
We're very nervous in front of our sons, you can say. We don't want them to judge us.
Yeah. And you guys can't see us, but there's a very interesting mic configuration we had to do because there's 4 people and 3 mics, so it's
Yeah. Isaac's 15. He just sits on my lap. It's fine. That's okay. And he gets embarrassed easily too.
Yeah.
So.
So episode, I did it again. Verse 45 and 46. One of the experts in the law answered him, "Teacher, when you say these things, you insult us." Then he said, "Woe also to you experts in the law. You load people with burdens that are hard to carry, and yet you yourselves don't touch these burdens with one of your fingers."
Yeah.
Younger.
Yeah, I just kind of thought that, like, whenever I first read this, I saw experts of the law, and I was thinking almost like the police. But then I researched more, and they were experts in, like, the law of Moses.
Yeah. This King James puts it lawyers. Yeah, lawyers. Yeah. So.
And I also thought it was kind of cool how they called him teacher, even though they probably really didn't even mean it. They didn't have any respect for him, because it was because of them he would soon be crucified.
Yeah, well, and they would look at him as a teacher, but they'd look at him as a teacher of fallacy, not a teacher of truth. Go ahead, Isaac.
What I noticed is, he didn't even try to deny it. He said, "You reproach us all."
Yeah. He didn't say we're not dead. He didn't say that. He said, "No, you're reproaching us." Basically, he was saying, you're trying to injure or speak evil of us. We. Kind of like we're the who's who. How dare you talk about us? I think the closing of our last episode, didn't we talk about that? We close about like who is this guy to say that I'm a sinner? Who is he, to say this about me? And that's kind of what they were doing. Like, who are you to say that we are filthy? Look at us. Look at the whitewashed sepulchres we are. Look at the beautiful white garments we wear. How pure and clean we are. Jesus Christ just says, well, all I see is a dead man.
Yeah.
I also thought it was kind of funny how the experts of the law are like, "Teacher, whenever you say these things, you insult us too." And Jesus literally turns around and says, "Woe to you experts of the law."
Yeah.
I see. I never caught this before. I've read this passage numerous times, but the first 3 woes are toward the Pharisees, and the next three
Are towards the
are
lawyers.
toward the experts, the lawyers. Yeah, and I never caught that before.
There's the actors and the teachers. Yeah.
But yeah, so these people would have added all these extra burdens, these extra rules that they just created themselves on the
That
people
they didn't follow.
that they didn't follow.
That they
yeah.
didn't follow.
Yeah.
Man, isn't that how it is when we look at people? Whenever you're a pharisaical judge of people, the Bible teaches to judge not that you be not judged. It doesn't mean that you don't tell people the truth. It's that you're not putting things on them that are not there, pretty much. And so these lawyers, they were making up. It's almost like they were meeting to make up rules that they weren't willing to follow. They just wanted to see who they could get to submit.
Or it was even rules that weren't affecting them.
Yeah.
I mean, politicians do that sometimes. They'll create these laws that don't quite affect them, but they affect the normal folk.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So, you guys, you have anything to add? Or you?
I also thought like how the the experts of the law, Jesus says that they load them with heavy burdens, where Jesus is the opposite, and he says, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light."
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
So at the verse 46, I just have the note here. You make it impossible to function in life and live, and yet you do not follow any of the rules that you've interpreted to be true. That's pretty much, that's just a mental note that I put here. So, and we have to be careful as Christians, because we can do that too. We can make standards Bible when they're not Bible, they're standards. And we can make things that we call righteousness when God didn't call them righteousness. So if God says it, that settles it. If you feel that way, if you just feel conviction about a thing that's not biblical, you need to follow that conviction. If it's Holy Spirit led, you need to follow that conviction, but you don't need to put that burden on someone else. That's your burden. So
now we have the fifth, and this one's like as long as the other five combined. This fifth woe. He says, "Woe to you! You build tombs for the prophets, and your fathers killed them. Therefore you are witnesses that you approve the deeds of your fathers, for they killed them, and you build their monuments. Because of this, the wisdom of God said, I will send them prophets and apostles, and some of them they will kill and persecute, so that this generation may be held responsible for the blood of all the prophets shed since the foundation of the world, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah, who perished between the altar and the sanctuary. Yes, I tell you, this generation will be held responsible." That's a big chunk there.
that's powerful. So, well,
You
before
want to just kind of go verse through verse?
yeah, go verse to verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 47. Sorry, guys. You guys anything for 47 there?
Did anybody look up what the word sepulcher meant? Just curious.
For tombs?
Yeah, it's monuments.
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't know if anyone looked it up. I was just making sure. It means monuments. They were building statues for people they killed.
Right.
Like they were building, they were building these monuments for people that they were responsible for killing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they had these Elijah, Elisha, Isaiah, all these guys, these prophets, that their ancestors killed these men. And it seems,
not Elijah.
Oh, yeah, not Elijah, yeah. But I'm saying that the prophets, yeah.
Yeah.
But not Elijah, yes. But I think what the idea is that he's kind of turning that on them and saying, you guys are doing the same thing to me.
Yeah,
You're gonna do the
you're
same thing to me.
responsible for this, for these deaths. And so, yeah, verse number 47.
47. You guys anything for 47?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, that's all right. 48, you are witnesses that you approve the deeds of your fathers, for they killed them and you build their monuments. Yeah.
So I just kind of thought for like this whole chunk, Dad helped me
Cheater.
think of this.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But so Jesus is condemning them for building monuments and like almost not worshiping, but really holding these prophets in high respect. He's almost prophesying what people are going to do to him. Because in the time of the prophets, they hated them because they told them what they were doing wrong. But centuries later, people loved the prophets and they looked up to them. Jesus is kind of telling them, this is what you'll do to me. Everybody hates me now because I'm telling you what you're doing wrong. But in hundreds of years, even thousands, as we can see right here from this podcast, people will worship me. So
Not the Jews.
Some Jews.
Yeah, some Jews. Yeah, not the Jews though. They're like,
That's interesting. I never thought about that. And there's actually a parable about that. Remember how the man sends for the wedding? Is it the wedding feast? He sends
it's the wedding
people,
feast,
and
yeah.
it's supposed to represent the prophets go out and they get killed, and he finally sends his only son.
yeah,
That same idea.
yeah, and that's the thing. The Jewish people do come around. They do come back. They do come around to the Father. Their husband, out of jealousy of Christ. So they eventually do have the respect for Jesus, but as far as that still hasn't happened. But we as Gentiles get to look at Jesus Christ as our only way to heaven. But we would have been just as guilty of killing him. We'd have been standing in the same lines. We can act like we wouldn't, but look at how much we fall for today, even though we know the truth.
Yeah. I see a little bit of application here is that these Pharisees, they tried to, they knew the truth. They know that their ancestors killed the prophets, but they built monuments to show, hey, yeah, we're a little bit different. We're more advanced. We're more up to date. We're like more hip than our ancestors because we look at the prophets a little bit differently and whatnot. And Jesus is like, you may think that, but inwardly you're the exact same as your ancestors.
Because they looked at the outside and he looked at the heart. Their ancestors were filthy. They're filthy. Their ancestors viewed themselves as righteous. They view themselves as righteous. Jesus saw the same thing acted out in a different way. That's all. And so, what's it, verse 49, wisdom? It says, it's verse 49, therefore also said the wisdom of God. The word wisdom there means supreme intelligence. So the supreme intelligence of God sees what we as lack of intelligence see. So don't see, should I say.
Yeah. You guys have anything for 49? Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting how Jesus says, because of this, the wisdom of God says, I will send prophets and apostles, which really, there haven't been apostles except for the last 2 or 3 years.
The Apostle Paul, he was the last one.
You mean in this time?
In this time.
This time, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there really weren't even, I don't know if he was even called them apostles yet. I'm not even sure at this point, or if they were apostles or...
No, an apostle, I believe, had to see Christ after he was risen. And so the apostles weren't sent until after he completed.
They weren't sent, but I think he calls them apostles somewhere.
He might.
Yeah.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but it's definitely it's called a sent one, a messenger kind of, and that's what they were. But what I think the point is that this is going to show that there's going, just like the prophets in the Old Testament, the apostles in the New Testament will be the same way. They'll go out, they'll get persecuted, they'll get killed. And he wants us to see in this age that it still hasn't stopped. People are still getting killed for Christ.
Yes. I'm looking at. So the word apostles, let's see here. In the book of Luke, it was used in chapter 9.
So we'll get there in 9.
Yeah. In chapter 6 of Mark, chapter 10. I just looked it up, quick
Yeah.
search. So it is used. It is used before
Yeah,
this.
I knew it was used somewhere because I thought he says the 12 apostles, but...
But let's see here, apostles. Yeah. We'll have to look it up later because I'm not going to read all these.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway,
So let's get to verse 50. So
and I could be wrong with what apostles were. For some reason, my mind was telling me there were people that saw Jesus after he was risen,
Oh, yeah.
and so I could be wrong. But I know that Paul was an apostle. He was the last apostle, wasn't he?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, there's different people that define apostle in different ways.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, not arguable. Just thoughts. So,
yeah, we'll get there.
yeah, eventually. When
I want to have full capability of my mic when we talk about apostles.
yeah. I understand.
So verse 50, so that this generation may be held responsible for the blood of all the prophets shed since the foundation of the world. So we have this little section here, 50. You guys have anything on 50 or 51?
Whenever Jesus says this generation will be held responsible, it's almost like because they killed the number one prophet and apostle, who is him, or they are going to kill.
They will, yeah.
Yeah. And King James, it uses the word required. Required. Did you write the definition of that down?
So it says that this generation may be required.
Yeah, it says maybe required. Go ahead, Isaac.
To demand back.
Yeah, to demand back, to take vengeance on the generation for the slaughter of the apostles. Basically, he's saying, it's going to be taken out on you. Like you are going to pay for this. And of course, whose is it to pay? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay. And so that's the thing. We seem to want vengeance on people, but just let God take care of it. God's vengeance is worse than ours. Us putting a bad Facebook meme or whatever about somebody about how they're angry, that's such a dumb way to do things. Just pray and ask God to take care of it. And sometimes your enemies can become your friends because you deal with it correctly. And so,
yeah, these people are just as guilty for rebelling against God as the previous people in the Old Testament. That's what he's getting at.
Absolutely.
51, for the blood of Abel, the blood of Zechariah, who perished between the altar and the sanctuary. Yes, I tell you, this generation will be held responsible. What do you guys have to say about 51?
So from the blood to Abel, Abel was, of course, in Genesis chapter 4, and Cain murdered his brother. But some of you may not be too familiar with Zechariah. He wasn't the prophet, he didn't write the book. He was the son of Jehoiada, which I don't know if you've heard him, but he raised King Joash. And he was the one who helped convince Joash to rebuild the temple. And Jehoiada was a very good guy in the Bible. After Jehoiada ended up dying, Joash actually ended up marrying all these other wives from different tribes. So Jehoiada's son, Zechariah, was telling the people, because they were worshiping idols, of course, we can see it from the story of Solomon, if you bring foreign wives in, then you're probably going to end up with idol worship. So they ended up worshiping idols, and Zechariah was telling them the wrong thing. Stop worshiping these idols, you need to follow God. And
he was telling them the right thing. They were saying he was wrong. Is that
yes,
okay.
yes. Okay. And so they just stoned him right there, right between the altar and the sanctuary. So
interesting. Yeah, and that's out of 2 Chronicles 24. And you guys, do you have anything about 51, Isaac, you want to say?
No, not really.
Jonathan, you? Because I got a few minutes I'm going to spend here.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So there's some interesting underlying information here that was, I did not catch this myself. I read this, but so the Hebrew Bible, for those of you unaware, the first book of the Hebrew Bible is Genesis, and the last book of the Hebrew Bible is 2 Chronicles. So it's not the same order as our Bible that we have. It places 2 Chronicles as the very last book. So what Jesus is saying here is from the very first innocent blood shed in Genesis 4 to the very last innocent blood that was shed in 2 Chronicles 24, that is the blood that these people are spilling. So he's basically acknowledging that, hey, these are the books of the Bible. These 39 books are the books of the Bible. And I think that's important because Jesus recognizes that. We should recognize that. And this is obviously only goes for our English, but it's almost like he's saying Abel to Zechariah from A to Z. Ironically, these are the people from A to Z. I thought that was kind of cool. In Hebrew, it wouldn't be like that, of course.
No, yeah.
But I just thought that was kind of cool. So he's basically just giving this blanket statement of all the Old Testament people killed between those two men.
Yeah.
So anyway. All right. Last woe, gentlemen. 52. Woe to you experts in the law. You have taken away the key to knowledge. You didn't go in yourselves, and you hindered those who were trying to go in. What do you guys got?
Whenever he's saying that the experts of the law has taken away the key to knowledge, I looked up what that meant, and evidently it means the Bible, because they would kind of twist and shape around the law to their doing, as you can see, as he says earlier, you laden them with heavy burdens. So whenever Jesus is saying that, it's just kind of like you aren't really doing your job.
And even more than just the church itself. I mean, people like you said have been doing this throughout history, just trying to make the Bible say what they want it to say.
That way people would listen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the word key means the ability and opportunity to obtain knowledge. So they took away their way to get to the door or get through the door.
Yeah. Well, they're the ones that had the
Not
access.
that knowledge saves, but
Yeah. But they're the ones that had access to the scriptures.
Yeah.
The Pharisees did. They were in the temples. People just didn't walk around with massive parchment scrolls.
It's kind of like the Catholic Church, wasn't it? Catholic Church, the priests.
Had until it got translated and made widely accessible. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had the scriptures and they had the key, and they could have easily said, "Hey, let me share with you the knowledge of the Messiah," but they didn't do that.
Yeah.
They actually even made it harder for people to get that knowledge.
Yeah, the word taken means taken away means to take away by force. They stole it. Bill it basically.
Isaac, I know you want to say something. Go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Well, what I wanted to say is the reason that they took away the opportunity is just because if they'd have to accept it themselves, and that would mean that they were wrong.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to accept that, so
Yeah.
instead they just made it say what they wanted it to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we hate that. We hate to be wrong.
Oh my goodness.
Jonathan, I hate that more than probably most.
I know what it's about. Matt hasn't been wrong yet, so I'm still trying to catch up.
Ask my wife every day. You guys met her a couple episodes ago.
I wouldn't dare ask her. I wouldn't dare. I don't want to get hit. I'm just kidding.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, your poor wife has to listen to this.
Last couple verses here, 53 and 54. When he left there, the scribes and Pharisees began to oppose him fiercely and to cross-examine him about many things. They were lying in wait for him to trap him in something he said.
Man, isn't that how people are? It's try to trap you. The King James says they urged him. They urged him. It says the scribes and Pharisees began to urge him vehemently to provoke him to speak many things. They wanted him to open his mouth. They were grievously urging him. They were enraged with what he was saying, but they were trying to get him to say something that they could judge him for, that they could kill him for, basically. So they were provoking him to speak.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Whenever it says, and they began to cross-examine him about many things, just like we see that a little bit whenever they asked him about paying taxes to Caesar, and Matthew 22, and John 8, whenever the woman who committed adultery, where Jesus says, "He who hasn't sinned, throw the first stone." And then one again with the Sadducees, talking about the resurrection and their marriage in Matthew 22 as well.
And we'll get to all those eventually. Solomon's jumping the gun just a little bit, but it's okay. It's no big deal.
Well, it's a matter of they wanted to have an accusation against him, and I love that Jesus didn't respond. You know why he didn't respond? Because he's the one who said, "Don't cast your pearls before swine." He's like, "Don't argue with toxic people. They're not going to change. You tell them the warning. If they reject the warning, you move forward, shake the dust off your feet, get on with your life. Go to the person who will listen. Go to the person who will hear." Jesus knew there was no way to argue with these people. They weren't going to change their views because they were prideful, which is all there's to it.
Yeah. And you will find as a Christian that proclaiming truth, it really will provoke heavy opposition.
Yeah.
It really will.
Yeah, it says laying wait for him. Basically, they were trying to set a trap. Trying to set a trap, hoping he would slip up so they'd have an accusation against him that they could take before their high priest or whatever and be killed. When they just had to hold on, baby. He was coming. He was coming to die. So it's just hold on.
I mean, it was almost like revenge, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, you make someone look stupid, and they're gonna do what they can to. They're gonna do what they can to prove you wrong in something, so no one will listen to you in anything. Whenever we make, I hate making mistakes. I do. I'm so good at it though, but I hate it. And I hate like misinterpreting something or seeing something wrong, and I hate that. But what it comes down to is that's just a moment to know, hey, I'm human. I have to learn. I have to live and do things too. And you have to teach your kids that, hey, we all make mistakes. We all mess up. We don't see things the way they're supposed to be, like lighting and lightning. Hashtag episode 13.
Last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sometimes you just and you can convince yourself it's right. Mm-hmm. So, and these men were not worth arguing with. I think had Jesus thought that they would change their way, had the Holy Spirit instructed him to open his mouth and continue to witness, he would have. But it doesn't say that he did. So,
no. Well, this was a fun episode. I mean, are you finished? I'm sorry. Are you guys finished?
I don't have anything else. So.
Yeah, we should definitely do this again sometime, though.
Is chapter, just curious, is chapter 12 is a continuation? It just said, but it says in the meantime. I know that we're not in chapter 12, but I'm just looking at it like, beware ye leaven of the Pharisees. So basically, in the next chapter, we're going to get to this eventually, but in the next chapter, Jesus Christ says, in the meantime, the people that are gathered together, beware ye the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. So Jesus doesn't respond to them. Jesus responds about them, though. So,
yeah.
He responds about them. So anyway, side note, not part of our passage.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So. Well, this was a blast for me just to see two young men that desire to study God's Word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be on here and to have fun.
And that's the thing, it's about teaching the next generation. Matt and I are getting old, and so I'm teaching my son, and he's in the youth group that I help with, and so he gets to hear me a lot more than he wants to, honestly. But just teaching him, hey, listen, look up definitions, look up meanings, find a reason, it's there. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important that we do that with our young men. I don't do it at home as much as I do it. He just hears me at the church and teaching these things. But it's important to teach your young people how to study the Bible, and that their view of the Word of God is just as important as yours, and their relationship is just as important as yours. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and anybody, you know how to reach us. And if you haven't heard us, you reach us at thegospelguys5@gmail.com. Send us a comment, just whatever. We'll take whatever email.
Absolutely. You can send an encouraging message about Isaac or Solomon and say, hey, you guys did a good job, or you did terrible. You need to work harder at it, just like Jonathan. Just kidding. So you can encourage them as well.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, bye, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Hey, God bless.
God bless.
See ya.
Bye.